Hello, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. My name is Erin Richmond. I'm the Chief Experience Officer here at sMedia. As most of you know, sMedia has been a partner for dealerships in digital advertising since 2012. We're always looking for new and exciting ways to help our dealers connect to their shoppers. And we believe that Amazon advertising provides just that. We have a number of dealers using the platform already, and so we're very excited to talk to you guys about it today. During the presentation, you'll have the ability to use the Q&A feature in the Zoom window to ask questions, and we'll take some time at the end to answer any questions that come up. If you are an existing sMedia customer and you do have questions after the presentation, feel free to reach out to your CSM. With all of that being said, it's my very great pleasure to introduce you all to Vasilios Lambos, our presenter and Amazon ads expert. Vasilios is the CMO and founding partner at Cognition Digital and our partner in providing Amazon ads to sMedia customers. So take it away, Vasilios.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm just going to share my screen over real quick and we will run through the presentation. Sweet. So let's begin. So yeah, we help facilitate harnessing the power of Amazon for automotive retailers. sMedia is a deep partner of ours, helping us facilitate a lot of the work we're doing in helping the market understand why Amazon's important, not just from a data perspective, but actually helping auto retailers sell more vehicles, drive more RO business, and get people ultimately to the store. The agenda that we're going to cover is what the audiences and the marketing opportunity looks like on Amazon ads. And then we'll dive into the creative personalization. So showing you exactly how we're targeting, but also what message we're delivering to what customer. And then we'll round that out with how we're measuring success. We got some pretty amazing case studies we'll run through, as well as some audience strategies that everybody can take away from today. So let's dive into understand the auto shopper. There's a ton of data that we have around the fact that 63% of vehicle buyers will experience a life-changing event before purchasing a vehicle. And that's important because with the data that we have on Amazon, whether that's shopper data, so what you're searching or purchasing on Amazon.com, demographic data, and even automotive audiences, to be able to segment and target audiences based on whether they were a recent graduate or maybe you're getting married, having a baby, allows us to show the right inventory mix, the right messaging to those consumers based on where they are in their purchase intent. In addition to that, today Amazon.com sells over $10 billion a year in parts and accessories for the automotive sector. And similar to how dealerships approach digital retailing and making your online experience better for the customer, Amazon is doing that too. And they're actually prompting users to upload their vehicle information while they're shopping online to help get consumers to their purchased product or accessory a lot quicker. And in doing that, it's allowed sMedia to tap into this data, right, that Amazon has to surface campaigns based on make, model, and year audience data. So there's over 200 million vehicles currently on the Amazon garage and growing. And as that grows, so does our ability to create very personalized campaigns to, again, target users based on the make, model, and year, trim, whatever it may be in their actual garage account. In addition to that, you can layer audiences. So you're not just, you're not being sort of cornered into only using certain data types. You can actually combine first-party data that is available. And when I say first-party, it's first-party to Amazon. So you have your CRM data that's first-party, but Amazon also has its own first-party data. These are cookie-based data points that is within your Amazon user account. And we can use those data points to actually layer different levels of intent. And because Amazon has purchased over 50 plus subsidiaries, Whole Foods, Twitch, you name it, we can use the engagement and the user data to layer and get a lot more focused on exactly who we're targeting. And so the persona we have here is an example of Madison. We know that she's a new mother because she uploaded her baby's info to the baby registry. She's shopping at Whole Foods for baby formula. And we know she owns a 2014 Audi S4. Because it's a sedan, maybe she's looking for an SUV for her expanded family. But Madison could be, as an example, the level of granularity you can get inclusive of even credit level data. So we can layer in, Experian and other providers to actually target these first party audiences and get very, very specific on the type of financial background these users may have as well. So lots of opportunity in terms of segmentation. In addition to that, and I call this the why Amazon slide, if you think about Amazon.com today, there are over 81% of anybody over 18 or older has an Amazon account in the US. And with that, so does the level of intent that those customers have. Think about who an e-commerce shopper is on Amazon. They enjoy 2-day shipping. They enjoy convenience. Kantar studies have shown us that they also visit more dealerships and they test drive more vehicles. So very important when we're thinking about, who is the overall, what is that ID graph, that identity graph of an Amazon user? Well, it is a user that is naturally higher intent and is more e-commerce driven when you're looking at the digital ecosystem. So what we've done is we built ads that allow us to target these users one-to-one. So if you think about conquesting or prospecting for net new customers for the dealership, we want to surface up, right, the most relevant ad with the most relevant inventory that's fit for that user's background. And we're doing that with vehicle feeds today. For anything VIN specific, it's completely turnkey. So there's no lift on the dealer to produce creative assets to run an advertising campaign on Amazon ads. We can completely pull this and build these templates that are fully dynamic and surface the right messaging, right, based on the audiences we're targeting on Amazon. So it's pretty interesting when you think about the potential for value propositions, right? So whether that's, for Nelson Mazda, this example shows one price, one person. They're taking that cradle to grave approach. And so they want to surface that value proposition in all their dynamic ads. But you can change every single component in this ad to align with how you want to go to market and to even align with, again, the audience we're targeting. On the acquisition side, we are producing dynamic vehicle acquisition templates that allow us to target users and serve them an ad, in this case, an actual cash offer range that has a geo-specific appraisal value and will even populate the vehicle image based on the card that they have in their Amazon account. So this makes it extremely easy to get very, very granular in what inventory we're looking to acquire. So to give you an example, a dealership can say, I only want to buy vehicles that are no older than 2017 in 30 miles from our dealership, right? That could be a relevant strategy. And the consumer's only going to see an ad or a cash offer if they own the specific vehicle we're targeting in that campaign. So it makes it much more effective than a we buy cars strategy or a broad acquisition strategy that most dealers tend to run. On the fixed operations and service side, imagine all the available products on Amazon.com today that consumers are purchasing for their vehicle. That may be oil for oil changes, could be tire and accessory parts. Well, we can create dynamic service ads based on what consumers are buying and searching for on Amazon.com. We call this ASIN targeting. It's the equivalent of like a product SKU, but anything sold or purchased for on Amazon.com could be pulled into your campaign targeting, and you can surface a plethora of dynamic creative. So you can have one campaign with multiple service offers, such as an alignment special, a tire rotation, and even an oil change. Now we're going to dive a little bit into streaming TV. Since we covered, I would say, dynamic display, that again is going to be more bottom funnel and driving traffic to your website, the streaming TV approach or connected TV strategy is going to allow dealers to push their brand in market to the similar audiences, same strategy, but getting exposure to Fire TV and connected TV devices. And the value of this is pretty significant as the audience for digital streaming grows. Now, a lot of this you'll hear in the news is around cord cutting. So the transition from linear TV to OTT. So you'll have either OTT, which stands for over-the-top advertising, that gets bucketed in the same with Amazon streaming TV. And we have over 135 million monthly unduplicated viewers in the US for streaming TV and Twitch. It's a massive audience. It's 16 times larger than the population in New York City and growing. And so these are people who are spending on average over 2 hours a day streaming on their devices. And I don't know about everybody on the call, but if you imagine a post-COVID environment, right? We saw a lot of people work from home. You have a hybrid work environment. A lot of these trends at a macroeconomic level is influencing the growth in streaming TV and the value to the dealership who's looking to get in front of their local audience. With that, Amazon partners with all the top publishers today to create very similar agreements that they would have with a linear TV buy, but it would just be digital. The biggest advantage, though, is we can target logged in Amazon users based on whatever they're streaming. So whether I'm watching HBO or I'm on TNT on a Fire TV device, I'd be eligible to see an ad. So a quick example of what we're doing with the creative for streaming TV, it's very similar approach to a VIN-specific ad. And we're just going to fast forward, but some of the highlights here is the dealer provided an evergreen brand creative asset. This was something they shot for the dealership. And what we're doing is we're actually layering in the inventory feed. So this video updates every single day with relevant inventory and aligns with the video creative that the dealer provided. So it makes it extremely easy to get in front, again, of the largest screen in the household. It's non-skippable. You can reach your audience and create brand safe content for your OEM or for the dealership brand that you have. And it maintains that creative and updates daily. So you're not ever going to have aged inventory, right, as you're selling inventory throughout the month. So big advantage in terms of the differences between linear TV and streaming TV on Amazon is our ability to update creative extremely quick, low creative lift because we can generate it dynamically and implement any form of business objective, whether that's variable ops or even fixed ops as well sometimes. So here are some case studies, and we're going to dive in to each example. So we just went through a few that revolved around display and OTT or streaming TV. And we're going to show you different case studies that prove out the value of these tactics. And the first one revolves around VIN-specific advertising. So again, modern Toyota Asheboro was running this strategy. Their target audience was an in-market automotive consumer. And we were conquesting audiences through the Amazon Your Garage ownership data, but we were layering in interest level and life stage contextual data. So again, that's expanded families, consumers who own certain minivans or SUVs, and layering those audiences together produced on average a $30 cost per lead, which was measured by uploading their data to the Amazon Marketing Cloud. And we'll talk about the value of that in a moment. On the service side, Nissan and Bowie was targeting and filtering inventory by year, make, and model, as well as targeting parts and accessories purchase data on Amazon.com. They saw from this dynamic service ad 25 net new ROs at an $80 cost per RO, again, RO being repair order, and a $345 average gross per service RO return of $8,600 roughly. The biggest value to this too is that we saw 122 additional vehicle detail page visits per month from this service ad. So it goes to show that any one of these strategies is ultimately a customer acquisition strategy for your dealership. It is not just about driving that one business objective, because in the end of the day, right, somebody who comes into your service drive ultimately could purchase a vehicle, and somebody who purchased a vehicle from you ultimately is going to service that vehicle in the long term. So we're really focused here on lifetime value, and we can build that LTV with any one of these strategies. In terms of, in this case, Mohawk Chevrolet, they ran a certified vehicle sales campaign at conquesting against current owners on Amazon Garage, but also layering in, again, life stage contextual data. And this strategy proved out 300 leads in a 3-month period at about an average of $10 cost per lead. And we saw 67 vehicles sold attributed to this campaign through the Amazon Marketing Cloud. And that was at a $46.90 cost per sold. In terms of streaming TV, this was a pretty unique strategy we did for Classic Chevrolet. We're running OTT and measuring cross-device website attribution, which is pretty much any pixel we place on the dealer's website. We can measure, right, whether somebody saw an ad on a television, went to their cell phone and visited the website. We can actually attribute that view through to that level of engagement. And what we found was there was 308 website visits per month at an average of $16 cost per website visit, which is pretty competitive to, say, a YouTube pre-roll campaign. We found it was actually more efficient. And so OTT, or over-the-top advertising, which is very similar to, say, a linear TV buy, but it's digital, can be just as competitive as online video campaigns that you may be running with other channels. But the biggest kicker to this was this acquisition strategy for their buy center saw an average of $112 per acquisition lead. So they got 58 trade-informed leads per month attributed to a video strategy on the streaming side, which is pretty compelling when we talk about the different media plans that you could deploy as a dealership. This was considered pretty efficient for Classic Chevrolet. So some of the packaging around targeting and audiences, the biggest differentiator that Amazon has to many other channels like Google or Facebook is the ability to target users based on their primary shipping address. Now, the reality is Amazon has the ability to use IP targeting. We don't use IP targeting because we get a much more accurate data point by using their shipping address. And with that, it minimizes 30% of wasted ad spend simply because we're not using IP targeting, and you're not getting the ad spend waste that you see with VPN usage, which ultimately after COVID with the work from home trend, you're seeing a lot more inaccurate targeting because of IP targeting, but also a lot more VPN usage and digital usage at home. And so primary shipping address is the main targeting function for Amazon. And again, it minimizes wasted ad spend. This overview of these strategies, you'll notice whether it's in-market, conquest, trade up or trade out, all of the data that we really lean into, again, is first-party Amazon Garage ownership data. Users are, it's user uploaded, so it's addressable, right? Users are giving this data and uploading it to their Amazon account, which makes it available for advertisers to take advantage, and especially for dealerships to activate in their ad campaigns. But you can also layer in, like we said, any form of Experian, TransUnion, Polk, any form of DMS first-party data that the dealer has that they want to enable in, say, a remarketing campaign or a retargeting campaign on Amazon. So a little bit about advanced measurement, and we hinted about to this in those case studies, was how we're measuring success. And today in the platform, make it very easily to upload CRM data and transactional data to show if somebody actually received an impression and converted offline. So this is coming from the dealership. Those clients would be able to upload leads, parts, RO data, vehicle sale data, and we're going to be able to match back whether or not those consumers converted. I think my slideshow may have glitched out there for a moment. But the results are pretty compelling. When we look at our reporting, what we've done is we've layered that offline data with all the online website traffic data to paint the picture of performance full funnel. And so Mohawk Chevrolet saw, a $35 cost per sold recently last month, in the month of March, and they're getting a $4.94 cost per lead now from the VIN specific strategy that they're running. And what we've been able to do is pretty much align their conversion funnel, which is the data they get from their pixel on the website, with that offline data that the dealership is getting from their CRM. And so to marry those data sources together allows us to paint a really strong picture for what advertising performance looks like through Amazon ads. So I'm going to shift gears now and allow, I guess, us to transition. I'll give the mic back to Aaron or Terry here to talk a little about some of these questions. Yeah, lots of exciting stuff.
Awesome. So exciting. We have a couple questions. So we will be sharing the webinar recording in the next few days as soon as we've got it ready. So anyone who was able to, or who has been on the call, who wants to share it with your team, you can do that. That was one of the questions. The next question we have is, this is geared towards automotive sales. Can it be adjusted to target RV?
Yes, that's a great question. We actually have worked with RV dealerships. And the unique thing around those case studies has been we've layered in purchase intent on Amazon.com for people who are outdoor, right, consumers. So if you think about the type of persona that you may have for an RV dealership, you can layer purchase and search data around camping utility items, right? Any form of travel related accessories on Amazon.com, and you layer that with anybody who may own, right, make, model, ownership data around RV intent. So there's a lot of opportunity for the RV market, and it's still very young. I think we've seen a handful out of the hundreds of dealerships who are starting to dip their toes in Amazon. RV still is a huge opportunity area, and I think more RV dealerships could really invest in this channel and have it be their competitive advantage, because the average RV dealership doesn't have access to, camping purchase data on Amazon.com, right? And so it's a completely different tactic when you think about the level of granularity you can get and testing those different audiences. We went with outdoor, camping, materials and purchases, more outdoor persona, but there's tons of other RV brands that might be more high end or luxury. And in those cases, you might layer different purchase and search history on Amazon.com to fit that consumer. And that also, to caveat with that, could include credit level data, right? So lots of opportunity to learn there. We have only tested this on a handful of dealerships that were RV specific. And I think that's a massive competitive advantage to tap into Amazon ads.
I completely agree. And Vasilios, are they available for something like a power sports or a marine? I know we do have several dealerships on here that do offer those kind of vehicles. So
yes, I actually just wrote a blog article on power sport audiences. Power sports is huge. I have a link to that blog. I can forward it to anybody who wants it. I'll send it to you, Aaron, to forward. There is a data point in there around power sports in terms of size of audience. So we do have that. If there are any dealership or power sport dealership that is looking for sMedia to provide projections around the audience size, we can help do that. So we just need like a DMA or a target, radius around the dealership to say what available power sport audiences are there. But it's funny you mentioned that. We literally just wrote an article about it because it is new to the strategy. So
awesome.
Great question.
That's exciting. Another question, they're rolling in. How are you defining a lead, and is this measured via a GA conversion?
By a Google Analytics conversion?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have our lead data in the case study is offline attribution leads. So these are a combination of digital and offline store visit leads that were submitted by the dealership, and it's being measured in the Amazon Marketing Cloud. So it's view through attribution. So what it's saying is somebody received an impression, they saw the ad, and they ended up either on site or in store, but that lead was submitted, right, to your CRM. We are matching that data back to the campaign. And so I like to caveat this with, we're not taking 100% credit for that attribution, because not everybody who buys a vehicle or submits a lead is using the same email address as their Amazon account. And so what we found is, the average match rate, it averages around 60 or 70%. And it's meant to be directional from a measurement standpoint, because we know today that every single channel has different measurement pain points. And so the offline data that we use is very much the Amazon Marketing Cloud tool that we've built to match back the impression to the sale or to the lead. In GA, we actually have specific parameters to measure our traffic that will align with your campaign, the placement of the ad, and the audience we're targeting in the demand side platform. And that data, as long as you have your conversion goals set up properly in GA, which sMedia could help do as well, we can track that back, right, to the ad campaign. So there's a lot of opportunity there. They are separate data sources though, right? And we can only do so much to influence Google, given that Google Analytics isn't the nicest competitor to Amazon when we look at traffic data there. So we have to do a little bit of extra work to filter out traffic that we know might be irrelevant or isn't being measured properly in Google Analytics.
100%. I think it's an important conversation to have around attribution and understanding, the impact of your overall strategy. But this matchback reporting on Amazon is definitely nice to have when you can't, totally rely on analytics. So awesome. What kind of CPM should we expect for this type of advertising strategy?
Yeah, so when we talk about CPMs, I'm going to give you averages for display, streaming TV, and we didn't really talk about it. Maybe it's a webinar 2.0, but streaming audio. So I'll give you averages for 3 different strategies. Our average for display tends to be between $5 to $8. And where the cost goes up for display or dynamic display really revolves around the amount of audiences you're targeting. So the more broad you are, the lower the cost, because you have less targeting layers. And as you add different layers, you might see that CPM go up incrementally. For OTT or streaming TV, the average range is between $30 to $45. Again, for an automotive in-market Amazon Garage audience, those are the averages. And again, it can be anywhere within that range. The other factor that adds to that range or that average is really, is it metro or rural, right? Because rural markets tend to be a little bit more effective because there's, not a massive amount of competition in the ad auction. So taking that into consideration too. So I like to get ballparks. In terms of streaming audio that's run on like an Alexa or Amazon Alexa device, we see between a $16 to an $18 CPM, which could be a pretty competitive approach again to anybody running a radio ad with their local radio station.
Awesome. Next question, which kind of goes into rural versus metro, but is this available to Canadian dealerships with Amazon.ca?
Yes, it is. So in terms of the dynamic display, it's been the most, I would say, popular strategy because of the ad inventory that's available. When we think about streaming TV or OTT as we call it in Canada is more of a like bespoke strategy because there are different streaming providers and publishers between the US and Canada. That being said, we can do it. We just have to figure out what the projected audience sizes look for a video strategy or in Canada. So there's a little bit of homework that we'll have to do on the OTT side in Canada, but it's not, it's still available. It's just, you need to make sure that there's enough of an audience to target and your budget is sufficient. So.
Awesome. Okay. Is there a minimum budget, and can a dealer do Amazon ads themselves, or do we have to go through a select agency?
Yeah, so that's a great question. All of the Amazon ads that we're talking about is programmatic advertising. You have to go through an agency or work through a partnership like us to do it. The reason for that is Amazon ads on the programmatic side generally used to be offered to big, large brands, right? And those brands have significant amount of budget to spend on any one of these strategies. We exist today to lower that barrier to say that, hey, minimum requirements for ad spend for a dealership, right, is not going to be $1 million a year. Like, I don't know many dealerships. I know a lot of auto groups that might be able to fit the bill for that. But the reality is the average dealership can spend and get a lot of value out of this campaign with, $3,000 a month in terms of an ad strategy. So there is no spend minimum. That being said, our average budget for display ranges around $3,000. For over the top or streaming TV averages about $5,000 a month. So we're, again, trying to lower the barrier to entry. We don't have a spend minimum, but we do say we don't have spend minimums. We have spend recommendations. And those recommendations is to make sure that we're targeting effectively and we're able to get enough reach, right, with the audiences that we're ultimately trying to advertise to.
Awesome. Okay. If you're a vertical outside of automotive, so RV, power sports, et cetera, is there any limitations for those types of clients or dealerships?
Limitations,
in terms of audience, I would say, and targeting?
I say there's an audience for everything, generally speaking.
Yeah.
I don't like to talk about, there's really no, I don't say like if limitation in terms of performance, there's always opportunity for iteration. And so wherever we start with a starting budget and strategy, there's an level of optimization that we're doing month over month. And I think it's good to talk about that because if you feel like as the client or the dealership that there are limitations, we ultimately can always improve on that campaign, right? And so our goal is to measure within 60 to 90 days some form of return on ad spend for the campaign we're running. And so if we don't see that within about 90 days, we go back to the drawing board to optimize the audiences we're targeting, optimize the creative we're running, right? And so, I think this is more of a broad marketing statement. Honestly, it's not just Amazon specific. With all your campaigns and strategies, you should be optimizing them month to month. And so there's not much of a limitation on who you can target, but there's always room for improvement in terms of optimizing for the right audience mix. And that takes a lot of work from your partner to go in there and make sure that we're driving and targeting, or really just serving the right message to the right audience, right? Like that's the key goal in the end of the day.
Awesome. Is Amazon Garage selling vehicles like Kijiji or Trader or Car Gurus, or more of a parts finder?
Yeah, so Amazon Garage is the name of the data set. So when we say Amazon Garage, it is where the data is housed on your Amazon account. Consumers are uploading that data to their Amazon account. And the reason Amazon's asking for it is because it's personalizing the shopper experience on Amazon.com. Today, Amazon does not have, they are not a Car Gurus. They are not selling vehicles on Amazon.com today. Is that something they do in the future? Who knows? I don't have the roadmap for that. But what I can say is that, from an e-commerce standpoint, there's a ton of value, again, in the user ID graph to get first-party purchase data, right? That's auto-driven. So it is down to the make, model, year, right? There's a level of fidelity that you can get with your ad dollars when you can target that specific. So again, it's mostly, the reason it existed was because Amazon wants to, get a consumer to the product they want to purchase faster, and they can do that by asking them what vehicle they own in their garage.
Awesome, thank you. Does Amazon currently advertise for the OEMs? Do you know if there are any tier 1,
Yes.
tier 2 ads going?
Yes, there are. And, we've had conversations too, around FCA, certain co-op compliance. What I can say is a lot of what we do programmatically falls in that broader programmatic advertising bucket. And so as long as we're providing documentation, to an OEM or a co-op, media buy, we can get it approved. And so, it's still early enough as a channel where there are OEMs that have dipped their toes in, they're spending money with Amazon. It's pretty significant at the macro level, but on the tier 3 side or the direct to dealer side, there's a lot of opportunity. Dealers are just now getting involved because, again, we talk about that access to media. We're really providing that access now. We're saying, hey, let's provide you the platform to do it, to spend lower budget amounts to get a better reach. Whereas OEMs can come in and they can say, yeah, let's do one media buy for a larger brand, but you're not going to get the same level of tactics, right? Like what you're running at a retail level or a smaller local market level is VIN specific, right? Service and fixed ops, acquisition. You can get more targeted in that strategy. Whereas a lot of OEMs are buying media, but they're buying media on brand, and it's much more broad, in terms of the messaging they're delivering in the channel. So there are different strategies, but OEMs are definitely purchasing media on Amazon today.
Awesome. Do you have any case studies for Canadian dealerships that you can share, or is it still too new to Canada to really measure?
Yeah, sMedia has got a good amount of case studies. So we can definitely follow up with some of those. I know the sMedia team would be happy to provide a case study or two. And yeah, it's growing. So, I think the beauty of Canada is that it's such a new market for Amazon. And with that gives us a lot of opportunity to be competitive. Whereas, other channels have not been able to really adapt the same way that Amazon is right now. And, where you see Google, Facebook, and some pullback in ad spend, Amazon's been growing because it's had a little bit of a better approach to the strategy, a little bit more stronger audience data than some of the other channels have in the past for retail automotive.
Awesome. Is it not better to have fewer dealership visits than more? I'm referring to the slide where it shows Amazon shoppers visit more dealerships. Is that showing greater intent or reducing the prospect's certainty in what they actually want? That's tough.
Website that's physical visits, that data. So that was a Kantar study. That study was actually done with Amazon, and that's just proving out, right, the intent of the consumer, that the Amazon customer is more cost conscious. They're more, their shopping behavior is higher intent than the average customer, right? So if I'm a frequent shopper on Amazon, I'm just likely to browse the market a little bit more aggressively, right? And that's the takeaway from that slide, is to show that, out of the box, if you're advertising on Amazon, you're getting a consumer who is going to be 20% more likely to convert right into a customer.
Awesome. Okay, I think we covered it.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. As I said, if you are a current sMedia customer and you want to know more, you can reach out to your customer success manager. If you are not an sMedia customer and you want to know more, you are welcome to reach out to sales@smedia.ca or visit smedia.ca and contact us through our Let's Talk form. With that, we'll let everyone get on, and thank you so much, Vasilios, for taking the time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, take care.